often we as Americans, and Neville, I'm including you in the American things because you see, as British, you're partly responsible for everything America does. I'm sorry to tell you this.
I, Son of the world. I don't kind of confine myself to a strict country or anything.
Mhm. But as Westerners, we often like to editorialize sort of the events and arrests and stuff that go on in other countries. But I think I think it's kind of a little rude of us because we don't really understand those cultures fully. So this is another example of that. There was recently a story where 12 Hong Kong criminals, these people were criminals, 12 Hong Kong criminals are being held in detention uh, in China because they were running away from Hong Kong over to Taiwan. And this is again, I think, a situation we can't editorialize Chinese news because obviously we don't understand the culture there. It's totally different. I mean, I think if these people committed a crime, I think there's nothing wrong with them being held in criminal detention, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And obviously the Chinese government has these people's best interests in mind. I
Of course.
I I don't know this for a fact, but I was reading somewhere, you know, the Chinese government is one of the most uh, the Chinese government's prison system is focused on education more than any other government. I mean, their focus isn't on keeping people in binds, but rather their focus is on it's on re-education. And I think that's something that we could actually even take and use in our own prison systems and in our own confinement camps. Is we need to have a focus on re-education rather than simply just keeping people in these binds and keeping people in prison.
100%. And not to mention the fact that even though this pandemic that's going around started over there, they have some of the best numbers in the world. So obviously
Mhm.
they're doing stuff right and they really do have the best interests of their people in mind.
They're doing something right. I mean, they've been wearing a mask. They've been wearing masks forever, which is like a big one. Come on. I think
Hmm.
we,
The
we could take
lockdowns as well.
we could take a page from them, right? Like we should just be wearing masks even once the thing's over, because clearly it's what allowed them to recover from this so quickly. There's no other factors. It really is. They just wore masks and the pandemic was over. I mean, it's like people on Facebook and stuff doubt the truth of that, but it really is. If you just wear a mask, the pandemic will be over. And China's proven that to us. South Korea proved that to us. Really, almost everywhere in Asia has proved that to us.
Yeah, and let's not forget, like, you know, damn well there isn't a single Trumper that's gonna talk about this in a negative way. They're gonna talk about it positively, but you know, they jumped illegally across someone else's border. Where no one's gonna call the hypocrisy out on them, are they?
Yeah, it's such the amount of mental gymnastics and like cognitive dissonance that the Trumpers have to to be able to be like, oh, it's not okay when people immigrate to our country, but when they leave China illegally, and I mean these people were criminals. I want to get that straight. The Chinese government
Yeah.
has been very clear. These people were criminals, and they should have been brought to justice. I think that's what I pride us on. We don't view things differently in different lenses. I mean, all we do is we know how to contextualize with the culture. So in the culture of China, the Chinese government is much more just than the U.S. government, and because of that, we have to be able to trust their sort of guidance and their reasoning on these sort of issues.